to the Rise of the Podcast. I'm Kara.
I'm Justin.
And I, for the 144th time,
Woo.
am Brownie.
Dang.
Is that where we're at? Episode 144?
144.
Okay. Oh, I was worried that Jeremy graphic was going to go under here. Let's not confuse things right now.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was over there to the empty chair. Yeah. Leave it there.
Jeremy's with us in heart.
No, he's not. He's having a good time down in Vegas, abandoning us forever.
It's true. Driving around Porsches and...
Does he watch? Does he watch right now?
No.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I watch.
No,
well, he's with his
dad's
dad.
down
So,
there.
yeah.
There's no
Oh,
way.
really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, just mess with him. We could like take notes and then quiz him.
I know.
Right after,
be like, so what did
tomorrow.
we say about this, Jeremy? What did we say about this?
So allegedly, the internet that he has down there is so bad he can only that you can do an audio only version. You can just listen on Twitch instead of watching and listening. And he's like, I was listening the whole time, and you guys are saying some mean stuff.
Oh, he was commenting some mean stuff.
Yeah, it's
so-
all warranted, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You jerk.
Yeah.
Don't come back.
Vegas
come
has
back.
bad internet though. Like Vegas.
The hotel in particular that he's at, the
Vegas.
$45 a night a hotel.
Right. Well, I guess he could get better internet, but
It's like $10 a day or something.
yeah, I think it's something like that. And the military's not going to swing for that.
They pay for it. Like, so the hotels charge for it then. So you can get internet, but you can get better internet if
For
you,
more money.
Yeah.
I didn't think that is.
Here's the thing. They're freaking they're
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
casino too. You'd think they make plenty of money.
That's
No,
nuts.
they're not there to be nice. They're there to rob you blind
true.
and
That's
take every
true.
penny you've got.
That's
If they can
true.
do it through your internet bill, they'll do it.
I mean, that's like, because you're already there. You've already spent how much in gambling. So you probably
Yeah.
get to the hotel and you're like, well, I've already spent this much. So I
What's
might
in it
as
for
well.
$10 a
like,
day?
Well, that's like what Disney's like. God,
Yeah.
we just went to Disney and then you start spending money on like food and this and that. So then there's certain things where you're like, well, we've already spent this much. I guess this extra like $10 churro's not too bad.
Right?
Well,
Yeah, those-
Did you ever cut together that video of Jeremy swiping the card everywhere we went?
I have all of those things. So
footage.
that reminds me of when we went to Galaxy's Edge. It's like a 12-ounce bottle of Coke was like $6.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't pay $6 for a gallon of water in the desert if I was dying.
So there's this one random person's walking by, $6 for a gallon of water, and Chris is like, no.
on
As he's
principle,
dying.
on principle, I won't buy it.
never.
But when you're getting gouged for everything, like $6 is pretty reasonable for a Coke.
That throws me off too, because when we went there, I thought the prices would be like way higher even, because I knew they were already high. So
Yeah.
I'd always heard all the jokes like, you get like a hot dog for $30.
Right.
So then you get there and you're like, oh, hot dog doesn't cost that much. This ain't bad at all. Well, but then if you keep it going all day, you get towards the end, you're like,
wow, I just spent $1,000. Hot dang.
right. And then I'm like
Yeah.
using several different cards. So that I'm not like properly keeping track at all. And I'm like, why am I even using 2 different cards right now? So, you know, then you get to, I'm sure at a point where you're at the hotel, you're like $10 for internet. Okay. That's, I mean, I already spent like $100 on just churros alone today.
Here's the thing, though. Jeremy does get a stipend every day.
Yeah.
And so he could take $10 of that stipend. And
Swanky
on
is calling him out
Saturdays.
too. So he's like, so Jeremy can't spend $10 out of his own pocket to support his own podcast?
Yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy. Let's do close-up shames. Shame.
Shame.
Shame. Shame.
Well, like okay, so it's like $20 maybe a day, but why not go down to the casino and turn that $20 into $200?
Yeah,
If
and then
he
you're
does,
covered.
And
you know?
then he does $20 and then he loses it and he's like, now I can't have internet today. It's over.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Swanky says military per diem pays out pretty good, especially in Vegas. So Jeremy has no excuse. This is the Jeremy's on Blast podcast. We're not talking about nerd stuff or pop culture stuff.
Just put my husband on blast.
Jeremy's on Blast.
It'd be great if he actually was just listening to it all right now in crystal clear, like picture quality and everything. He actually did pay for it.
Right.
And we're just yelling and making fun of him, and he's just like, guys,
This is the worst $10 I've ever
I really did it though.
I hope that that's the case.
Yeah, I miss him. I miss you, Jeremy.
As do I. I miss you too.
I mean, you probably miss him more. I mean,
just a
I'll give
little.
you that.
I'll tell you what. When Jeremy gets back, he gets to watch Chip for the entire day, and I am going to go to a spa, and I am going to have some nice quality care time. It's going to be great.
That's your punishment for going away, Jeremy.
Yeah,
That's your Vegas, going to the spa.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so we were driving past the spa in Canal Park.
There's a spa in Canal Park?
Yeah.
I worked down there and I didn't know
Spa 49 or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Interesting.
Jeremy was like, oh, I bet you want to go there. Like, thinking he's being funny and that I would never want to go to a spa. And I looked at him and was like, actually, I would. And he was like, you would want to go to a spa? I was like, what woman wouldn't want to go to a spa?
There's like
come on,
4 spas in Canal Park.
Oh, really?
There's the Cedar and Stone Nordic Sauna. There's the Pebble Spa. There's Rue 48.
That's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
I thought that was a restaurant. I thought Rue 48 was a restaurant for sure.
Yeah, when I first saw it, and then I saw like there's a sign underneath that says spa or something like that. I was like, oh.
And then there's the Muggy Moose Massage and Thai Body Work.
What was that? The Muggy Moose?
The Muggy Moose. It's one word, Muggy Moose.
Okay.
Muggy Moose Massage and Thai Body Work.
Interesting.
Muggy Moose doesn't sound like appealing for a spa.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It's
that sounds
like a
like
sweaty, sticky moose.
Yeah, it sounds like Bullwinkle on a hot day.
Do they serve beer there?
Hey, Rocky.
That's the real question.
So yeah, that'll be Jeremy's punishment for being gone for almost 4 weeks.
Yeah, you show him.
That's right. I've been living the single mom life for 4 weeks, so he gets to pay for me to go to a spa.
You should go to all 4 spas and tell us which one's better.
Oh yeah, right.
How big
Jeremy.
is Canal Park? Wait, I'm confused about this because, and it's not just with the spas. I have heard of several different things in
You've
Canal
been
Park.
to Canal Park.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you hear of other things in Canal Park, and you're like, okay, I've walked like the 2 streets in Canal Park. How?
It looks like they make like a little triangle. You can kind of see on the thing there.
Yeah, I'm seeing, but I mean, like, it shocks me though because I always hear of something new there where they're like, oh, they have this there, they have that there.
I feel like there's certain locations that are all like they're flipping businesses. Like
yeah,
there's like something goes in and then they leave and that's probably part of it because
I must now look up how long Muggy Moose has been around.
No, they used to have the coolest like thrift store ever. It had like old video game consoles there and toys and everything. And yeah, it was like a pop-up shop because it was only there for like a week and then it was gone. And then I went like 2 years going crazy in my head. Yeah. Like, was this store real or did I make it up? It was like the first time I'd ever seen actual like vintage video games in Duluth. And I think it was called like the Canal Park, Canal Park something, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously.
I hope that's what its actual name was. Welcome to the Canal Park something, I guess.
Because I found their Facebook page at one point and they're like, hey, we're relocating, and they never updated. So, I mean, now they have that place in like the mall that sells video games.
Game On.
Yeah, so like that. Since then, they've made that.
Yeah.
So now I'm like,
oh wait,
okay.
that's the same people?
No,
or are you saying that's just
no, but it's
a
filling
vintage?
that void.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, just because I don't know, like I went many years where you could never find anything for vintage games in Duluth, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose like Collector's Connection is comic books and
right. Even like going in there, they barely ever had. I don't know if they've ever had, because now they have like something next to Collector's Connection, which already moved from the mall. And then like combined with Disco Round at that like other strip mall. But now next door they have a store called Toy Galaxy. And that place has like a bunch of old video games and other vintage stuff. If you go in the back room, he's got a giant outdoor Dairy Queen sign.
Oh, nice.
From like back in the day. So like that has
surprised my father-in-law didn't snap that up before this guy.
Oh, I mean,
funny.
That store's cool though. But yeah, I don't know. That's my one thing about Canal Park, I guess, is I just don't ever realize how many things are there. And
I know.
Right.
It just seems too small. Like there doesn't seem to be.
There's not enough
space.
Canal Park for as many businesses alleged
Yeah.
to be from there.
Yeah.
So it shocks me.
I mean, the DeWitt Sites building alone has like, what?
Oh,
8
yeah, that is a
stores.
thing, too. There's like 12 stores just in DeWitt Sites.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
With those weird staircases.
Yeah, where it's
Yeah.
like you're in Hogwarts, but it's made out of wood instead of
That
stone.
is a good comparison.
That's
No, it's
pretty much it.
Every time I go in there, I don't actually know like which is like north or south of the building anymore because I'm like it's
You
a
get
weird.
turned around so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Fitgers where you just get lost.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, seriously.
It's like 4 blocks long and half of it's underground.
Yeah.
Truly, that is what it is. It's like
And then half it's even more underground.
random staircases everywhere and
ramps, staircases.
and like every store you go into, you can exit the store, but it brings you to a different angle of the hallway. Like,
Yep. Yeah, you walked in here, you walked out up over there, and now you're on the 4th floor instead of the 2nd floor.
at the Rex, if you
It's
go
true.
down from like the parking garage, you can get to the Rex. You can go in there. And then I didn't know there was a back exit from that place.
No.
So you can go to a different staircase, but it brings you to a random part of the building. And I just always get lost there. So I'm glad to know that I didn't know when bringing that up if
That's
everyone
their
could
business
relate.
model, is getting people lost. So you just buy stuff until you
Right?
get to leave.
you just get all stressed out. And you're like, for me, it'd be retail therapy. So I go buy stuff.
Yeah, well, I was asked if I'd ever had Fitgers beer, and I was like, I don't think I've ever even made it to that place. Like, where is that there?
The Figures
Yeah,
restaurant?
so it's like, it's, if I recall correctly, so the company I work for puts on the Duluth Christmas City of the North Parade. And we partner with the boat club. So all the stuff happens right in front of Fitgers, and then we stage out of the boat club. And I believe, so the boat club is on like the top floor on the far, west side.
The boat club? You can walk out the back of the boat club.
Yeah, but so underneath the boat club, I think, is where the brewery is.
I've seen the big, like, whatever. Where they brew it.
Or whatever. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I've seen that, but I have not seen the. Is the restaurant the one where if
The
you walk by
restaurant
it,
is
there's
above
like,
the brewery.
is there the
Yeah.
one part of the building where there's 2 restaurants on both sides, and there's like
So there's the Red Star, or whatever it's called now. I think it's the Red
it's
Star.
something
That's
else now, I think.
Fitger's like bar.
okay,
Like there, you can get cocktails and stuff.
And that's
there.
like closer to the Rex than the Fitgers.
Fitger's restaurant is literally right across the hall.
oh, so
Yeah,
maybe I've just walked
it is a
past
horrible
it
maze.
several times and I just have never actually stopped there.
Well, I feel like the restaurant, it's got the area where they've got the old barrels that they would brew with, I think. And then they only have like this little sign that shows that's Fitgers, if I remember.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been in there.
So the big ones are not the ones they're using anymore.
Well, I mean, they're using big ones.
big stainless
steel ones.
things, I think.
But that's down below in the brewery area. So there's like the brewery, and then there's like a little store right next to it that you can buy like growlers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we should do a tour of Fitgers.
Yeah.
and then like
Day 9.
But right, like the video just becomes like a post-apocalyptic. Like we can't escape this building, never find our way out.
Everyone looks like Tom Hanks at the end of Castaway.
Yep.
So I looked into Muggy Moose, and it does not say how long they've been down there. Their website is terrible.
I'm sure it is.
But so the thing is, do you know what Dinacaria is? They've got an upcoming class for it.
No idea.
Dinacaria.
Dinacharya.
I wonder if it's some sort of yoga.
Dinacharya. Huh. Yeah, look that up.
What is this?
Like is it like a form of yoga?
It's daily routine.
Let's have a class on daily routine.
It's a concept in Ayurvedic medicine that looks at the cycles of nature and bases your activities around these cycles. It contends that routines help establish balance, and that understanding daily cycles is useful for promoting health.
Ah, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
So apparently that this class is just a class that teaches you how to make good schedules based on the rhythm of nature.
I have a 1-year-old. Schedules, except for his nap time, are not a thing.
I mean, I feel like his schedule runs your guys' lives.
It truly does.
If I was the boss of him, I'd be like, you sleep when I tell you to sleep. And it's like, and then he'll counter with, how about you sleep when I tell you to sleep?
And then
We're both really miserable until he's 23.
That's pretty much how it would be.
So, and that's fine.
Just saying.
That's why I'm better suited as an uncle than whatever. Oh, man. So my sister just had a kid in September. And this kid is amazing. He is my absolute favorite. He is so funny.
Uh-huh.
Like, he just makes like these weird faces that I like make it back at him. And then he looks surprised at these faces. He's like, he's like, I don't know if he doesn't realize that that's exactly what he was just doing, or if he just thinks that I'm being a complete lunatic, but either way, it's hilarious. He's my favorite.
You said, so Chip is a year old now?
13 months.
13 months.
The unluckiest number of months to be alive.
I tell you what, I can't believe it. Seems like yesterday I brought him home.
Yeah, it seems like
Oh, my sister is watching. She says that my nephew and I have the same face, and he's storing those faces for later.
just test runs.
Yeah.
Lots of practice, early practice. Well, I mean, because, okay, so after like 13 months, is it easier, or does it get more difficult because there are new things you didn't realize were going to be things?
I think it is. It's still difficult because he is literally getting into everything. Literally. And he's teething. And yeah. He's walking and falling and hitting his head, and it's a
He's got a
whole
massive
thing.
head too, so it's pretty easy to hit it.
He's got a huge head. Like Jeremy and I were FaceTiming, and I was holding Chip up next to me. Chip's face is like the same size as mine. I'm like,
he looks like a poorly drawn anime character.
he's like a little chibi. You know, their bodies are like this big, and their heads are like this big.
Exactly. He's gonna have neck issues.
He'll just be like,
Trying to like lift it up. Like that. I mean, I don't know if he's already walking. You got a handle of it. He probably, I don't know.
he's so funny. I love that little boy.
Just walks like this.
Neck brace because of the head, not because of the neck. The head is just too much.
It'll be like one of those plastic things that goes around the neck and just like.
He's like, does your son have whiplash? Like, no, he's just got a big ass head.
That is it. I pity the person. If he ever headbutts somebody, I pity that person.
Gwen said that Chip is the cutest Funko Pop.
I would agree with that.
So one of the things, since we're talking about like children, so your kid's name is Chip. That's his full first name. My nephew's name is Martin Paulson III. So his dad obviously is Marty. His dad's dad is Marty or Bob, which is his middle name, Robert.
I was gonna say.
So
I was like, how do you
there's
get Bob out
and
of
there's Marty,
Martin?
and there's the third one, right? So they want to call him Trip, right? So my obvious point of like trepidation is Chip and Trip are very close, and I don't want to like get my old man brain confused. So since Chip was here first, I was like, I need to come up with another name for my nephew. So I'm calling him Marty Jr. Jr., which is hilarious to me and bothers Marty Jr. Sr. to no end. And he's like, why can't you just call him Trip? And it's like, because it's like, if I start calling him by the wrong name, you're going to be mad. So I'm just going to intentionally call him something that annoys you.
Either way, you're mad, but this way, you're a little less mad.
Yep. It's like, this way, you know, it's not because my brain doesn't work. It's because my brain is working too well.
I need everybody else to also refer to this child by my preferred name because I can't confuse it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just for my benefit, but it doesn't help if everybody else is using different names. I can't be confused.
So, yep. So Marty Jr. Jr.
Has anyone ever actually officially, I know that was like a joke in Friends, but has anyone ever actually said like, I'm not going to use third, I'm going to go for Junior Jr.? Is that even allowed?
I
mean, I guess it's allowed. I mean, is any name, can you name your kid?
I think you can
do whatever you want.
I mean, there are certain names I think that are banned.
Like a band name?
Like, there are names you can't call your kids. I don't know if that... I've heard of certain names, and I can't remember if it's here in the States or if it's somewhere else, but there are certain names you cannot name your children because it's like
the F word. Like, you probably can't
well,
name
yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if that's banned, but you probably... I mean, that'd be kind of great, to be honest. Like, if you're... I mean, it's the worst thing, but like in elementary school, like, it's like, no, you have to call me by my name. Right. And it's just the F word. I mean, I don't know.
Brad said Hitler.
You know, last time I was here, we talked about Hitler.
Did we really?
I forgot what the joke was.
Well,
it was,
I think
it was Mr. Hitler or something like that. I don't know. It was Jeremy referred to Hitler as Mr. Hitler. It was very formal about it. And yeah,
Only
or maybe it was
Jeremy.
about Bin Laden. I don't remember.
Oh,
it was one of those awful people.
Jeremy just messaged that he's finally here. You missed the roast portion of the podcast.
Yeah, you did.
So there's no rule saying that you can't name somebody Junior Jr. instead of the third. I did learn that naming someone the second is like, so let's say that Jeremy, you and Jeremy, I suppose, have another son.
I'm the one doing all the work.
If you had another son and for some reason you wanted to name him Gerald, you can name him Gerald Matthew II, because he's the second Gerald Manthey and he's not a junior. I know you wouldn't let him, but I'm just saying in this hypothetical scenario.
Right.
You know, or if you wanted to name him Timothy, right? You could name him Timothy the second, even though it's the wrong line, but like you could do that.
Okay.
So that's where the second versus junior comes in. Is if you name somebody after somebody that's not your dad, but is the same name.
Okay. Okay.
Conventionally speaking, but it does actually reference Frank Jr. in that article saying you could do it, but your child probably would not appreciate it.
Not unless they got a good sense of humor and are surrounded by people with good sense of humors.
Yeah.
Which it took me forever first. Like Gerald, Jeremy. Okay. I didn't connect that. I thought it was just, I thought you just named
no, my father-in-law is Gerald.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Gerald, then he had Jeremy.
So you're just talking about skipping one then.
Yeah, so that's for the second
Oh,
versus
okay.
junior.
I thought Jeremy, because I was like, that's not a thing, is it?
No.
Okay.
Gerald, Jerry.
That really threw me up.
So you know what goofed me up? So I thought forever, as like, because Gerald, he spells it with a G, but he spells his nickname Jerry with a J. I didn't realize that. I've seen Jerry spelled with a G.
I have too.
So that's how I always spell it. So it's like, hey, is Jerry coming over, whatever, if I'm talking to Jeremy. And he's never corrected me. And I was like,
I mean, technically it's not wrong though.
yeah, I guess, but it's just like his preferred spelling is with a J.
Yeah.
And it's just like interesting that he would like, I don't know how that came to be. Like if if my name started with a G and I used a short, and my name starts with, I'm Christopher.
So
and I don't go by KRIS, I go by CHRIS.
I talked with one of the girls at work about this type of thing. So we have a patient who, his name is Richard, and he goes by the nickname Dick. And
I am glad that he exists. Is he like 70?
Apparently he's kind of a douche, but I've never
Dick is kind of a Richard.
Right? I've never had him as a patient, which I'm very grateful for. But she's like, I feel just dirty going up. I feel the same way. In our charts, it says a patient's name and then their nickname. And whenever it says Dick, I hate that because I go downstairs into the lobby and I'm like, Dick?
Hey, I'm looking for some dick.
I feel so wrong going down there and doing that. But how did they ever get Dick from Richard?
I can actually tell you that exactly.
Okay.
I know the etymology of this. So
tell me.
It's all because of the way that people nickname people in England. So it starts with just some of these sounds of the name. So you go from Richard to Rich. It's just a shortening, right?
Yep.
And then Rich gets corrupted to Rick.
Yeah.
And then Rick goes to Dick. So that's how it happened. It went Richard, Rich, Rick, Dick.
Spotted Dick.
Spotted Dick.
Right. Well, because I was actually literally going to bring this up because just the other day I was writing down like family trees for Stella. Just because you get married and even no matter how big or small the family is anyway, it's always like confusing figuring out all the connections. So I was like going through the family trees and I wrote down my grandpa's name and I put Richard. And she was like, who's that? And I was like, that's my grandpa Rick. And she's like, she didn't even think about it. She was like, oh, Rick to Richard. And, I think it was something like that. But because she had then brought up, why is he not why don't they call him Dick? Because I thought that's who is usually what Richard comes from. Like Dick is the nickname for Richard. And I was like, I guess I don't know. And that's why it always threw me off when I found out years later that Dick was the nickname for Richard, because I was like, no, it's not my grandpa's name. That's just a big joke. Now I realize he's only at phase 2. Yeah. Or phase, because he's gone from
Thanos
Rich
hasn't
to
shown
Rick.
up to start phase 3.
Right. I mean, he's got time. Yeah, he's got time. I always wondered what would happen if I went to Thanksgiving and just called him Dick.
You should.
And just,
hey,
I don't know.
No, don't even say, you just say, hey, Dick.
I don't know if he's got that
it's like,
sense of
Dick, your
humor.
name.
Yeah, it's a good, I should test it out.
I have an uncle Rick. His first name is Gerald, but he hated the name Gerald, and so his middle name is Richard, and so he goes by Rick. Well, so he's at phase 2 as well.
Another name that I think is really interesting. So you know the name Peg, right? Do you know what that's short for? Peg. It's short for Margaret.
For what?
For Margaret.
Oh, Margaret.
Yeah.
Peggy.
So
yeah,
it goes from so Margaret can
to
go
Marge.
to Marge or to Maggie.
Yeah.
And then Maggie or Marge can go to Meg, and then Meg goes to Peg.
Weird.
Yeah.
How? Like, there's not
just-
even a P in Margaret.
Yeah.
Is that the
there's not
British
a
thing again?
D in, oh, I
In
guess there's a
Richard,
D in
yes,
Richard.
there is.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Dick puts the D in Richard. We got there, folks.
Do you have those family members that they use completely different names? Just not even
Oh, yeah,
remotely the
my
same?
Uncle Boomer.
Who?
My Uncle Boomer.
Oh, well, like, so his name, they call him Boomer, but that's not his.
Not any part of his name. He's actually William Welander Brown Jr. Actually, the second. They named is the second. He's not even junior. He is a junior, but they named him the second.
Second,
But is that
rather
like
than
a
junior.
nickname then? Or
Yep, he got it when he was a kid because he was always like smashing into stuff. He actually has two names. He also goes by Bildy because he couldn't say Billy. So he was like, call me Bildy. So they called him Bildy. And then he gained Boomer later.
That's hilarious.
Well, it's not even like, so it's not even nicknames. Like we had some cards come in. Well, I knew some of these already, but there was like one that I had just found out about. Cause like I have an aunt Leona, that's her name. But her real name is Deborah, which is like, where did that come from? And then I have also, a cousin Reggie, and he sent in a card, and on the check it says Donald because it blew Stella's mind. She's like, "Who is that?" And I
No
was
offense
like,
to anyone whose name is Donald, but I would go by something else too.
What?
Maybe
You can
that's
go by
literally what it
Don
is.
or Donnie. He's like, yo, Donnie.
maybe that's.
Yeah, if I'm in the 50s in Greece.
Whatever.
I'd like to know like the origins of those because that's not even nicknames. That's like, no, you just straight up didn't like your name,
Yeah.
and you changed it. That's what it seems like, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Or. I don't know. That's just what always blows my mind because I don't see that so often anymore. But I
No.
see it often with like
In
older
certain
people.
generations, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't get bored of Justin, and I'm like, you know what, Mike, call me Mike, please.
Yeah.
Right?
Stop
Nah,
with
don't
the-
call me Kara anymore. Please call me Heather.
Yeah.
You look like a Heather. You actually look like somebody I knew in high school named Heather.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had a girl one of the girls at work. She started the same time as another girl. One was Rachel, one was Ashley. I kept flip-flopping their name every single time. So Ashley would come up and like, Rachel. She just ignored me. I'm like, what the? And I was like, oh yeah, it's Ashley.
All right. Jeremy and Brad are ruining the comments section here. So I've just got to catch up on this. So Brad said, let's start a trend and bring Hitler back as a name.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
And then Jeremy says, you're funny. And then whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Jeremy says, hey, Brad, last weekend was great. Disneyland rocks.
You're dead to me. Dead.
If that's the case, Jeremy,
It's
don't
not.
come back.
He FaceTimed. Yeah, right. Seriously. No, he was FaceTiming me last week and stuff and sent me pictures for where he was at. And
So do you guys go hiking like recreationally?
negative Ghost Rider.
I don't understand the appeal. He's been hiking multiple times.
Like,
And it's like, and this is the man who complains that he's got this PT test and needs to be in shape. And he's like, I'm gonna go on a hike. And
He's
it's like,
been
that's
hitting the
one
gym.
step away from exercise.
he's been hitting the gym a lot while he's down there.
So I told you guys that story about him being confused for Janae's dad, right?
Yeah.
So I told Jeremy that story and he's like, I'm definitely doubling down on going to the gym now.
Well, that too. And Jeremy, you could always try a face routine, like actually take care of your face so you don't have as many wrinkles.
There's no recovering that face.
Whoa.
His face is beautiful. Oh,
He says
so,
FaceTime was a trick. Apparently, he used all of his cinematographical wizardry. That was a lot of syllables to say that. That's probably not even a word, and I still struggled through it.
that's all, it's a word now.
Brad says, remember when I goosed Minnie Mouse and then found out it was a guy in the costume? You guys are terrible.
Oh, Lord. Only a few more months
That's true.
until
We still haven't gotten hotel or plane tickets or anything.
I know.
yeah.
It's like,
Celebration 22.
Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's coming back.
yeah.
Allegedly, if it doesn't get canceled again, it's like,
I
seems like
think-
California's locking everything back down again.
I think that's what Jeremy is. I think that's kind of why we waited.
Yeah.
So
I would like the same motel we were in when we went the first time.
It's right around the corner from the convention center.
It truly is. It truly is. It's amazing.
I mean,
It was
maybe
pretty
less
sweet.
people will go too because maybe there will be enough people. Like they'll still do it, but maybe like enough people. Well,
I'll tell you what, people are stoked to go back. You're part of the Star Wars Celebration group, aren't you, on Facebook?
I think so, but I use
you
Facebook
don't do a
for
lot
Messenger.
of Facebook, yeah. There are a lot of people who are real excited about Celebration. Some people have sold their tickets. Like they're like, I'm not going. I don't want to risk it. But for the most part, everybody's.
Yeah. Brad says no way it's going to be insanely packed. So
Yeah. Well, I guess so. I mean, especially I guess if people have been waiting, like
For
they didn't have it last year.
3 years.
Yeah.
Oh, so when was the last
19.
19 was
Really?
the last one. Then
April
one got
19.
scheduled for 20. Then it got delayed all the way to this year.
Yeah.
They do it every year, usually.
Nope.
Every couple years, I think.
It's so random. It is so random. Like I think they did one in 15. I guess 15, 17, and 19. I think they did. But before
and then,
that,
and
it
then
was
they were going to go
sporadic.
back to back 19 to 20.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, COVID, Walmart, whatever you want to call
Right.
it. Go to, and then it wasn't just go to 2021. It's like we're going to 2022.
Yeah, they like totally skipped 2021.
And it was supposed to be in like August, and then they moved
August.
it up to May. And then Jeremy was freaking out because like, so the reason he's on the deployment now is so he can get out of doing the deployment that would happen over Celebration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like how big of a double cross would that be for Jeremy to wait 2 years for this and then it gets moved right into the middle when you're supposed to be out of the country?
I remember he was so mad when they moved it because August would not have been an issue whatsoever.
Well, yeah. Why they move it up? Like nothing gets moved up nowadays.
Yeah,
That's weird.
it seems random.
I mean, it's almost like they're like setting it up so it will get canceled.
Yeah, they just wanted to go to 2024.
Let's just
Oh
do it
my
sooner, and then
goodness.
we'll be like, oh, we were hopeless. We
Yeah.
we tried to have it. I mean, well, I was looking at tickets to do possibly D23.
Yeah.
Just because we want an excuse to go somewhere again and possibly do Disneyland. Because
I love Disneyland.
I've never been. I mean, I've been to Disney World, and Stella finally went, and she loved it a lot. Because I was like, let's be those weirdos who go like every year, because I like it that much.
Yeah.
Or at least let's do it a bunch before we have children, and then we'll wait like a good 15 years to ever bring them or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
So
well,
they can-
so apparently it's not a good idea to bring young kids because they just get tired so fast.
No,
Yeah.
it's my family. We did like a big thing for Disney World when I was like 4. We brought everybody. My cousin was like just born, and yeah, so we all went there. And I mean, I don't have many memories about this trip, but they talk about it like wasn't the best idea. And we didn't go again until I was like in 8th grade, and which makes more sense because it's like and I enjoy it a lot. I get like older kids maybe don't, but that was always something I enjoyed. And then you can kind of be on your you can walk yourself at
Yeah,
least.
you have a bit of autonomy, or you get to be
Yeah.
like, I want to go on Space Mountain. Everyone's like, no.
Well,
You're
and
like,
I
"No,
mean,
I'm
like,
going.
a big part of it, like I went my senior year, and a big part of it is like I'm trying to get as much in as I can, and then when I got married and when I went with Stella, it was kind of the same thing again, even though she was like, I mean, I know usually she's not big into that kind of stuff, and I know she was holding back saying anything to me about like, yo, you think today is done or anything? I mean, she was being a trooper just for me. I know it. And it actually benefited because we were not going to do Rise of the Resistance. We were thinking of
No
like,
spoilers, because
Yeah,
that's,
no
that's
spoilers.
the
I'm
reason
not
why
there.
we're telling Jeremy he can't go, because we
Oh.
know he'll go on that ride.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we waited like the 2 hours. It didn't end up being that bad of a wait. I mean, it was October. They were estimating a 3-hour wait. We went on. It was a 2-hour wait.
Well, how long did we wait for the Falcon?
Oh, it was probably pretty close to 2
That
hours.
was brutal.
Well, then like I know you guys went back through in the single line and got
Yeah.
through in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We would have just been better off doing that. It's the same experience. Who cares who you're sitting next to?
Yeah.
They didn't
Anyway.
even have the single ride option for Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
But the Falcon wasn't bad because, that's not the newest ride anymore.
Yeah.
So we only had to wait like probably a half hour for that.
Oh, dang.
It was
Okay.
October also. I mean, there was like barely anyone there.
I think that's the time to go. You're not dying and
It's nice. It
You
was
know
good.
what I've heard is the best weekend to go to Disney?
Christmas.
Super Bowl weekend.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Except I want to watch the Super Bowl. Oh, you need to let Jeremy come to the Super Bowl party.
No,
This is gonna
that's
be
his
here.
first night back.
It's
You
gonna be here. No, he doesn't need to see his family.
Screw the Super Bowl.
You guys come down here. You can hang out with him while he's here watching the game.
I have zero desire to watch the Super Bowl. I don't even know who's like in the running.
In the running.
running?
They're going to be elected to the Super Bowl.
It's an odd year. We have no Brady or Packers in the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah.
Which is like,
Well, that's good.
Yeah, Tom Brady retired today.
I don't even know
Did
if
he
that's
really?
true. Did you hear about this?
Let me double check, but I heard it.
So they announced it. You're right, and a lot of news organizations took it up. But they interviewed his father, and his father's like, "No, that is not true. He hasn't said anything yet."
Oh, yeah. Tom Brady retirement report sparks confusion and denial.
Yeah, so like we don't know right now.
Yeah, Mike Girardi says Tom Brady Sr., again another senior, theme of the night, tells me, and I quote, "The story is total conjecture. Tom has not made a final decision one way or another, and anybody else that says that he has retired is absolutely wrong."
I wonder if like he leaked it himself just to see what teams would be willing to pay him for one more year, just to see the kind of deals he could get. And
interesting.
I don't know. Is he done with the? Now we're doing football talk. I have no idea if he's done in Tampa or not. Like if he had a contract that went.
I think he's got one more year left, but I mean, like he's Tom Brady. He can do whatever he wants.
Because I was thinking, like, what would it take to get him to come to the Vikings just for 1 year? Would he do it?
I don't think the Vikings have a stacked enough roster. We've got good offensive pieces.
We have enough money?
Our defense is pretty terrible.
Right.
I'm sure they would find any team that is not the Patriots, obviously, because Bill Belichick will not deal with that. I think any team in the universe would pay their entire salary cap to have Tom Brady.
I mean, he's one of those players that pretty much any team he's on is going to automatically be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can definitely flip other players in there, but like he's so good. Like he's just one of those. It's kind of like Michael Jordan. He probably could have played for like any team, and they would still at least make it to the playoffs, if not win the finals. Like
for sure.
It's just he's one of those superstars. So I was like, come on, I don't know how much money the Vikings have, but can't we just like, I don't know, hire some like high school kids to be on the team and have like Tom Brady play? And like I'm like, and it sounds ridiculous. I'm like, the thing is, he's so good, we might still just make it.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean,
I'd be all about that. Tom Brady's like my favorite player ever.
Yeah,
so.
he's like, what? He's like the greatest.
He's the world's most handsome man. You can't be upset about Tom Brady.
He's like in his 40s, and he looks like he's
not that
in his 20s.
handsome. I'm sorry.
He's
he's a beautiful.
No. You know who's gorgeous?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Henry Cavill.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull up a.
That's not even a sports player.
I don't
That's just
care.
out of nowhere.
I don't care. I'm just
Superman?
saying he's fine.
Yeah.
Witcher, Geralt.
Did you like him with his mustache in Mission Impossible?
You're telling me this is not a handsome man?
He's not my type.
He's not your type.
No, I see.
Look how happy he is that he won the Super Bowl
for the 10 billionth
The dude
time.
is like 40. He looks like he just
likes
left
bald
high school.
guys.
Like he looks so good for his age.
I'd say he looks 40.
Come
Look
on,
at
that's
that.
a 40-year-old man. I hope I look like that at 40.
I hope I look like that
When
ever.
was that picture taken?
This one's probably a little bit older.
That was
but-
taken today. That's his retirement photo.
So this one's from last year. Where's that?
That looked
picture?
like a Madden photo. Are you sure that's actually no? I guess that one's him. He looks older there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
this
his
is from
mask.
last year.
His
I'm just
mask.
saying.
Get any of these?
Helmet.
None of these are coming up. There we go. Look at that
Yeah, he
specimen
looks
of a
good.
human being.
I mean, to be honest, it looks like he'd maybe put some work into his face to,
Oh, these probably definitely got makeup on.
Oh, yeah. And Photoshop?
yeah, Photoshop.
Yeah.
You don't think
arms
Henry
look-
Cavill gets photoshopped? Get out of here.
I don't care. Henry Cavill's a stud.
Get
I
outta
know
here.
it's just the shoulder pads, but like if you look at that photo, his arms don't look like they're in the right place. Even like I don't know, they look like lower than. And I guess the
Yeah.
shoulder pads, but I've never actually looked at. Yeah, it's weird. Like, doesn't it look like his arms are like more down here? And I don't know. It looks.
I suppose.
I've never really looked at it like
I'm
that.
so used to seeing football pictures. I just know how the shoulder pads work, so it looks
yeah.
normal to me. But
I don't know.
I totally get it. Like, oh yeah, this guy's arms come out like this.
Right, yeah. It's like,
That's why I was like, oh, it definitely is Photoshop. Look, they didn't even do the arms right. They went too low.
can you imagine the person being so fired?
Can't put his arms there. They'll all know it's fake. No, we'll do all the photos like this. So then they'll never.
Every
Then they'll
player
think
ever.
his arm is coming out from here.
Just to catch people up, so Swanky said AFCs between Bengals and Chiefs, NFCs between 49ers and Rams. I'm hoping for a 49ers Bengals Super Bowl.
That would be the only thing that might potentially make me come. Just because how long has it been since the Rams have been in the Super Bowl?
The Rams were in the Super Bowl in 18 and Brady beat them.
When was the last time the 49ers were there?
They were there in 14 and they lost to the Ravens.
All these are pretty recent. Jeez.
Well,
Bengals haven't been since the 80s.
I was going to say the
Okay, so
Bengals
that
have
would
been a
be kinda
hot
fun then.
minute.
So the last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, they lost to the Joe Montana 49ers.
So it could be that lineup again, 49ers and right?
Yeah,
Or-
Brad, I know.
What?
Because you said like that would be the only way that you would come. And Brad said that's what she said.
You know what, Brad? Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you, sir.
What?
Nothing. I'm talking to Brad.
Oh.
Not you.
He also said you can look like Brady if you want to spend like $500,000 a year in HGH shots. So that's fine. I think that's fine. Anyway, moving on.
Brady is Chris's man crush.
He's awesome. Here's what's ridiculous. I was a freshman in high school when he started playing in the NFL. That's
Crazy.
how insane this is.
Yeah. No, it's
Crazy.
crazy. I mean, like, I remember having conversations about football at the lunchroom in like elementary, and his name was one of the names. And now it's been like 20 years. I know that's how long he's been in it. But like, also for me, I'm like, I'm now married and he's still doing the same thing and still most of the time winning.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's not normal. That normally doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, and he threw for like 5,300 yards. He was like there's only been like 11 5,000-yard passing seasons. He's 44, and he's like, yeah, whatever, I'll just do it.
I mean, it's like when Brett Favre played for Minnesota that one year, the whole thing was like, man, he's so old. Can't believe he's even like going anymore. Is it even worth it? And like, meanwhile, Tom Brady, like when he does it, no one even questions it. It's like, look at him go. And I'm like, so no one really ever brought up with him that, you know, his age, retirement.
I will say
guess.
Favre did look older than Brady,
right, but
though.
that's another thing. Is
And
like he
so I
looked
think
older.
I think that might be part of it. Like,
Brett Favre lives like an average human being. Like he goes out to like restaurants or whatever. Tom Brady like eats like 90 pounds of kale a day.
Oh, you're saying like Tom Brady doesn't eat at restaurants?
Well, no, it's like he's not ordering a big old pizza.
right? He's going. He's like, can you bring me a kale salad? Hold the dressing.
Yeah.
Are you saying that he's too like high and mighty and elite to be going to the places Brett Favre would go?
I think exactly.
If we go
so here's the
downtown-
thing. As much as I hate the Packers, I love Brett Favre. I think he is one of my favorite players ever, just because of how much fun he had playing the game. He's just a backyard throw it around kind of guy, right? And I love that.
Yeah.
But he and Tom Brady are the most opposite people on the planet.
Yep.
Like Tom Brady seems like, as much as I like respect and admire him, he seems like he'd be like a high maintenance person to be around. Where it's like, hey, you don't want to go out and grab something to eat? He's like,
Can I bring my kale salad?
And it's
with?
like, okay, Tom, fine. And he's like, I'm gonna go to bed at 8:30. And it's like, I just woke up at like 6, Tom. So it's like, anyway. What's it? Oh.
I'm sure it's some stupid clip.
Oh, it's a clip?
Yeah, Brad clipped something that we'll watch later.
Alrighty.
I have a feeling I know what it is.
Yeah, I think I know what it is too.
I didn't know you could
I think
do
it's
that in
Super
real
Bowl
time.
related.
Brad.
Yeah, Jeremy says he likes
Lord.
Drew Brees. Drew Brees was pretty washed the last season he played, but
How long ago was Drew Brees? That was forever.
he retired last year.
Oh, really? That's
Yep.
it?
He was
When did he start?
41? He was drafted in 2001, I think.
Okay. Because I remember we used to play a little like cartoon football video game, computer game, and Drew Brees was one of the options. Chris Carter was one.
So yeah, this is like early 2000, because I think Chris
Yep.
Carter retired in 2003.
Yeah, so it was Chris Carter. It was like Drew Brees. Who was the other? There was another really big name right around the time of those guys.
I can think of
I
about
know.
1,000.
I think he played for
Dated
Minnesota. I thought he played for Minnesota.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Moss. Moss is another one you could play.
Let's say that I think I'm going to narrow this down to like almost definitively 2002 or 3, because in
Yeah, it was
04
somewhere in
Randy
there.
Moss went to the Raiders
Yeah.
for 2 years, and then
Are
he
you
went to
talking
the.
about playing Madden?
It wasn't Madden. It was. It was. No, it wasn't Madden.
It was probably like Blitz or something.
I
It
just
It
heard,
was
like,
like they
2000.
looked like little chibi kind of characters.
could have been like a
and-
backyard football game.
Backyard football. That's
Oh.
exactly what it was. Thank
They
you.
had more football games back
Yep.
then. Now
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
say
EA
that,
didn't
yeah.
have the monopoly on it.
Oh, I just heard like you're saying it's like this cartoon video game thing we played. I'm like you mean like Madden?
No,
But,
no, not
I
Madden.
forgot about all those other games.
Yeah, it was backyard football. We also, I think we also had backyard baseball too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
that was like the only football game I've ever enjoyed playing. At least PC or video games. I
have a Madden football story. Actually, I have two Madden. I have several thousand Madden football stories, but I have two in particular. So the first one is I remember one of the I would never peg Jeremy as a sports video game player. And he had Madden 2004, and I remember him and I playing Madden 2004 on his GameCube. And
Jeremy played a sports video game?
He used to play NHL hockey all the time.
Oh, he loves hockey.
Hockey's amazing. But the Madden story, and this is for Gwen if she's watching too. I remember like I used to play from like 2000, I think from like 2004 to like 2016, I owned every copy of Madden. I would buy it every year. And I'd play it a bunch, and my sister would go,
change that much?
No, but they get my $60 a year. That's fine. I haven't bought it recently because like I'm really crappy at video games now. And I just like, I don't like all the new stuff that they have added. I don't like, and they've taken away all the things that I did like in the game. Okay. So it's like, anyway, so I'd play it all the time. And my sister would be like, "Oh, what you playing?" I was like, Madden. And she's like, "Can I play?" And I was like, "Fine, I guess." Like, do you want to be on the same team? Do you want to play against me? We'd play against each other, and she had a created team with these she made them with like these god awful like pink and brown jerseys. They were terrible. And she would run punt block and fake punt every play. If she was on offense, she always ran fake punt. And if she was on defense, she always ran punt block. And she would beat me sometimes. It's like, how do you beat me running punt block and fake punt every single play? Like plays that are designed to not work for anything, much less like conventional play. I can't believe
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Gwen just commented, punt block. So.
And Brad, you're not forgiven.
What did he say? Sorry?
Yep.
No, he said Sabi. You have to forgive him if he replaces the R's with W's.
I don't forgive. Nope. Sorry. Suck it.
Dang. All right, Brad, you have to unsubscribe from Rise the Podcast and subscribe to
after
my new
2.5 years or whatever.
Actually, I looked it up too. He's been subscribed to us on Twitch since 2020.
Dang.
You can look that up. Like when they start
so I gave Ryan moderator powers on Twitch. He's like, make me a mod. I'm like, fine. I don't know what that does, but I did it. And while I was in that menu, and I was like, clicked on Brad's name, and it's like he's commented like over 1,000 times on our streams.
Dang, boy.
Okay, wow.
And then it's like, oh, he's been subscribed since this date.
Forgiven. You're half forgiven.
Oh, okay. I forgot. Occasionally, Gwen would sometimes run Hail Mary.
Yep.
I change it up.
Yeah, that's when she really gets me. It's like I'm like, okay, another fake punt. It's like, oh no, Hail Mary. Should have seen it coming.
Got to keep you on your toes.
I'm surprised at the level of sports we've talked about today.
Which is like, yeah, that's like, I really like do not care like at all. I cannot keep up with it. I don't really know the terminology or anything.
Sports terminology.
I'll watch. I'll just sit there and watch. I know the rules, but if you ask me anything ever except for like, is Tom Brady good? I'm like, well, I know he is. I've seen him play. It's weird because like I can watch him play and kind of figure out, especially with him, like why it's all smart. Because I'm like, man, he's not so much about getting like a lot of yards in one play. He's really about just climbing up that field little bit by little bit, doing really smart choices, and bam, and it's like, and he runs out that clock. I'm like, he's a smart guy. So I can figure that out, but otherwise I'm just like, I don't know. I even went to we went to the Vikings game against the Bears. So that was the most recent one. I went with some friends because I like to go to the games, and it was like Zimmer's last game. Well, we didn't know that at the time, but I had heard rumors.
Writing was on the wall.
Yeah, like everyone had said, this is probably going to be his last game ever, which is it's kind of neat to see like, hey, this was a coach that a lot of people hated towards the end, but hey, it's kind of cool to see him do his final game in person. But even then, it was like it was fun. They won. You know, you keep up with it at first, but then as the day goes on, and you keep drinking too. I don't know. Towards the end, I was like, yeah. And I was like, I didn't really process any of it, even though I had a good time. So that's me with sports. I just get bored too quickly.
He goes for the beer.
Yeah. Well, now that there's
the $17 stadium beers.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, you know, actually, we were out and about, and I had told my friends at the end because they were like, "No, I got you. We got you." Because I let them know when we were driving home. I was like, "Do you know that I paid for nothing? Like, you all kept saying so much that you'll cover me." Because I tried to Venmo them just to make up for it. Because I was like, "You guys like paid for. I didn't pay for food." I'm like, literally, I looked at my debit card and I was like, "I have not spent any money while here. I don't know how I did that, but you guys kept covering me," and I was like, "Hooray."
Dang, that is impressive.
It was. And then I tried to Venmo me and they said no. They're like, "Nah, it's fine." I'm wondering what they're holding against me because I'm like, what is going to come back later?
Maybe they've done something that you haven't found out about yet.
Maybe.
And so this is their way of being like, we're sorry. Or as Brad would say, sorry.
That's only showing true contrition. Sorry is like, yeah, sorry, whatever.
Say sorry to your brother. Sorry.
There have been the changes here on the show since the last time I was here because I know now it's only on Twitch for streaming. I see it on YouTube still, though. The clips and the official edit of the show.
Yep.
Is there anything else that has like what's really been going on around here though since the new studio and everything?
What has been going on here?
Because like it's just I feel like behind. I feel like behind the fact that I was hoping to come here as soon as you guys were like moving in, but
you know.
Oh, you had the wedding stuff. We were moving in like right when you were doing wedding prep. Because we came down here at the end of September.
Oh yeah, did you? What's going on? It was around Christmas actually. It was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so there was like a thing. They were going to be gone around Thanksgiving for some family thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
And I can't remember what exactly because like I know it's like you got married and then you had the honeymoon like right after basically, and then you were back like around Thanksgiving. But I think I think I had Daryl and Keith come in and
I
fill
know
in.
we were gone in
We did
June.
like a 3.5 hour stream talking about TV shows.
I think
really?
That was in June, wasn't it, when we were down in Missouri?
Oh, maybe that's what that was. Anyway, it all jumbles together because I'm here every time, so I forget who's been here and who hasn't.
I definitely was asked about Thanksgiving, but I couldn't because I had a Thanksgiving that day. So
I think Jeremy and I were both here.
Maybe you were.
I think I was just supposed to come on and we were
yeah.
talking about like, were we supposed to talk about Thanksgiving movies?
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, oh yeah, because there was
exist.
something around Thanksgiving that you guys weren't going to be here. And I don't know, or maybe one of you wasn't, and I was like, oh, we can get Justin to come on. Maybe.
Gosh,
and then like it
it
never ended up being a thing or something.
I don't remember. Whatever.
Because like initially I had asked you for Halloween, you're like, I'm getting married that weekend or around that weekend or honeymoon that weekend or whatever.
That's now that you say that, yeah. There was something where I was like, oh, I'm literally getting married. So it was actually also because of DuluthCon. That was another thing where because that went over the weekend of my wedding, and they had asked me to do like, I think they asked me if I wanted to like set up a panel to do something. And I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. But I don't think I can like do it the day after. And then like, which is funny in hindsight, I probably could have done it because we got married on Friday. And then the Saturday, if we would have scheduled it like Saturday evening, I wasn't doing anything. Like I could have, even though there was like a plane the next morning at like 5 a.m. We had that Saturday. So technically I would have had time. We all thought we were going to go bowling the Saturday after the wedding party and everything. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. I'm exhausted. I will be staying home.
Weddings are exhausting.
I could have done the panel though. I could sleep through a panel. I could make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just play something and be like, watch this. And
It's like the substitute teacher. Just here's a movie.
Yeah,
have to roll out the
your
TV.
panel is just like 3 episodes of Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Now let's talk about it.
let's reflect.
Yep. What did we learn about plate tectonics today?
It's like, I don't know what this has to do with nerd culture or anything. Could you please explain to me why we're watching? I'm like, no questions.
Yeah.
No, just tell me what you learned.
Yeah.
Don't ask a question, though.
And if you're wondering why, it's because Bill Nye, obviously.
I've never watched Bill Nye.
Really? I think it holds up. It's like, it's campy now. It was really fun, like growing up. And like, I feel like I actually learned a lot from it growing up.
I missed the boat on that because I think that came out like the 90s.
Yep.
So like,
yeah, it was like mid-late 90s.
Yeah.
so I wouldn't have been I was a baby. So like maybe I watched
Your
it.
mom turned on Bill Nye, put you in a bouncer. Watch this.
Yeah.
I was like in the like 8 to 12-year-old
Yeah.
range at that point. So
Yeah.
it hit me right when I needed it to hit me, basically.
I just always feel like I hear people somewhat my age will like have fond memories of it. And I was like, I always forget though they're a couple of years older than me because I'm like, I never saw this. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
yeah. Well, and then like I said, like every science class I've ever had, we'll always end up watching an episode of Bill Nye the Science Guy. So
yeah, we never had that either. We had in science they would show
Nova.
Yeah, well, it was Nova. And then the other one with the two guys, Mythbusters.
Oh, okay.
But they would show these other like VHS tapes. I think they were called like eyewitness reports or something like that.
That sounds familiar.
yeah.
Well, because they had like a theme at the beginning of the videos. Oh, that was always very like it was like do 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 do. And it was like the most like addicting like song, and then the video would just be boring. And like,
had to lure you in, like, ooh, this sounds like it'd be fun.
the theme song was good. I'm gonna look that up. I'll find out if that's on iTunes.
I liked the Magic School Bus.
That was good too. That was in that same era as Bill Nye.
Yeah, that's another one.
Also,
Completely.
like you talk about Mythbusters, the first season of Mythbusters, I was a junior in high school. So like we didn't even have an opportunity for Mythbusters to be like a blockbuster phenomenon before I graduated. So we never got any Mythbusters in high school for me.
I don't even know if that's like. Well, I guess there was some science material to it, but that was
it was
more
like they just used the scientific method to justify blowing stuff up.
Yeah, it was like, and it was enjoyable, but I was like, I don't know if this is the best form of education, but all right, I'll watch it. It was enjoyable.
It is good.
It's not on anymore, is it?
Mythbusters, I think there's a new the original Mythbusters are all done with the show. And then I think it was off the air for a couple of years, and they did Mythbusters Junior that Adam Savage hosted for like a season.
Mythbusters Junior, like with kids.
Yeah. And it was not very good.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Kids, like literally he was just like he'd be like there to set the stuff up, and then he'd be gone, and then he'd come back when they're doing like the data presentation.
That's like it Hell's Kitchen, but like for the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that what they do? Like that crazy. Now I can't remember his name, but the guy
Gordon
from
Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. Doesn't he like come? He gives them the ingredients and will leave. But then he's like super nice on that show.
Yeah,
you've seen those comparisons where they'll
he is a jerk to adults.
He's not like making to put the bread around their side of their head and be like,
what are you?
Because there's there's cuts on YouTube where they'll like cut to him being like super nice with the kids and then immediately yelling at the adults and just like the back and forth. And,
Can you imagine if he was just like recording two at the same time, like two stages back to back, and he just goes and screams at the adults in one, and
hear
like,
on the other side, he's like,
right? And the kids are like, what?
That would be super productive for like television, though. Like if you wanted to get that, because he's in how many shows?
Yeah.
You could get a lot done in one day if you had two sets and would just go hop between them.
Right.
Like you said, yelling at the ones, and then the other one's like, "Oh, you're doing a great job here."
Oh,
You know,
man, little Cindy Lou Who, that looks so good.
you know, mistakes happen sometimes, and I totally What are you?
yeah, it's nothing burnt.
And then like if he like mixed up which stage he was on.
That's the sitcom scenario that I want. He's like, you called this a peanut butter and jelly?
And the kid's just sobbing, just absolute tears.
Grow the F up.
You know, I loved your like version of his voice there too. He sounded more like that was like a pirate version of him.
Arr!
You called this a peanut butter and jelly? It's hard to do screamy English accent.
How do they do it? We need to ask them. Why is it the English can do American accents so well?
I know.
Why have they been able to like import so many good actors?
Well, so this is an interesting thing that I just learned about like accents. So the way that you and I talk right now is essentially what the English sounded like in like the 1700s and earlier, basically. And then in Industrial Revolution era London, to separate themselves from the lower working class, the more upper class in London specifically would affect a certain way of talking, so they sounded more high class. And then of course like that trickles down, like the people that are like workers are like, oh yeah, I'm oi class, you know. And then like different regions developed different versions of that, but like when people were like, oh yeah, back in the 1400s, they're like, oh hello, governor. Nobody talked like that. And everybody, like if you spoke English, it was more like this than accent.
Wait,
that accent is relatively modern.
The higher class would do that accent. Is that
but only as of like a couple hundred years ago.
Okay, but that's just funny. Like they so wanted to differentiate from they were like, I'm going to even talk different, and I'm like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, and then like because people didn't want to feel like they were being segregated by the way that they talked, they also affected that same accent.
It's like,
So how did all the accents in the U.S. come to be?
It's the same thing. It's like it's just regional distinction, right? So it's like if you're only around people that talk a certain way, as new like slang and pronunciation and stuff like that gets introduced in an area, because that's what you hear when you're growing up. That's the way that you talk, and then so it just only gets like reinforced in the same area.
I wonder how it started, because when we first came here, we all talked the same way. And then, you know, it slowly started to work their way west, and then suddenly you got people down south, you know, talking with his twang.
The accents between like Florida and is different than Georgia, is different than Alabama. Like all of them have their own distinct type of Southern accent.
Right.
Well,
it's just like
from, I guess when
the Scandinavians, that makes sense, but like
people like who came like from their other like countries, though.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have their own way of talking.
I suppose.
Yeah, you get your dialect base from the types of people that like were changing languages too.
Yeah. So I wonder where
so
those...
it's like you get like the long loopy Germanic ooh ah yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So that gives us those longer pronunciated vowels, you know.
Oh yeah. Where's that come from?
Gonna put my boots on and go and take a ride on my boat.
So it's all very interesting. I don't even know how we ended up getting on that.
We talked about Gordon Ramsay.
Oh yeah, so we're talking about like screamy accents and stuff like that. So like Australian, which I can't do particularly well, but that's the one like it's like you have to scream to do an Australian accent.
Right.
You can't do like a
Gonna
nice
put
one.
the shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah, it's like, oi Bruce, get the koala out of my backyard. Like that's the only way you can do.
So they all talk like that. In Australia.
Oi, where's the opera house? Yeah, German's also like yelly. It's either yelly or like super whispery. It's like, oh yes, there we are. We're going to go into the science lab and do a little experiment.
Okay, speaking of German, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Right? I started watching a new show today, and they kill him off in like the first episode. I was like, you killed Christoph Waltz in the first episode of this show.
Spoiled.
What is wrong with you guys?
Yeah, he doesn't have time to do every crappy TV show.
Well, I mean, they probably had the budget for like one episode.
Yeah,
so
right.
Well, I mean, that's kind of surprising, actually. Like, if I were to watch it, I'd be like, oh, wow. So he's not well, now the stakes are high. Like, anybody could die in this show.
Yeah.
It's like Game of Thrones. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, I mean, he's not German. Maybe he is heritage-wise, but I was like.
Oh, Christoph Waltz?
Yeah.
Oh, he's German.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, like Tarantino, like I think he went to Germany to like just find anybody who could do that role, and I think
I love Christoph Waltz.
He kind of found that guy in like middle of just like
was Django
Austrian
his first
German.
Movie?
No, his first movie was Inglourious Bastards, and he played like
That's right.
Yeah. So like when Tarantino made that, he was forever trying to, because he like wasn't even sure if he'd make the movie if he couldn't find a guy who could do that role. Otherwise, he's like, the movie's not going to work. And
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, and I think Christoph Waltz only did stuff like in Germany before he was in that movie.
Yeah. He's been in things such as Die Patriarchin and Scheidungsstrafverfahren.
That sounds more like
I want you to
Der Volksgering.
Find that. All right.
Jag auf und an Flammenschwan.
They all sound so angry. Like they're probably like romantic comedies.
Engel shoot Flugel.
Have you watched those videos where like they have 3 different countries like say a certain word like butterfly? Like Americans like butterfly, and Italians like a butterfly or whatever, and Germany's like
Reich für mein tot Kind.
I mean, what are they so angry about?
Du bist nicht Island, die Hoy Black Story.
I do know a very nice German.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm saying all sorts of. Oh, he was in also in 1991. The Gravy Train Goes East. That's like the only English title in like.
That sounds like a movie for dogs. Gravy Train.
But then he's also in Lynch Otter Die Freiheit. Kopfstand.
These are probably really good movies.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just
They sound like classics.
He's been acting since 1977, but in a lot of German.
Now, who has more acting credits, him or who do we compare him to?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Well, what do you? So this is the impromptu version of the IMDb game. Do I have that pulled up?
Was that it?
Where's my graphic for it? The IMDb game.
Dang, you just have that right there, Chris.
I do have it right there. I'm not going to pull the scorecard up, but we're playing a little bit of the IMDb game. Okay, the way the IMDb game works is we take an actor or actress and compare the number of acting credits they have to the legendary Sean Connery. So, Justin and Kara, has Christoph Waltz appeared in more or fewer films than Sean Connery?
Yeah, fewer.
I'm going with more.
He has appeared in more films than Sir Sean Connery.
Really? Okay. I just figured, like, I haven't seen him in a movie in a while, so I just based it off of that.
You're listing off all these German movies. I'm like,
I guess.
Dang,
I mean, did he do like a movie a week when he was in Germany, and then I came here?
made for TV.
Also, he had 7 acting credits in 2001.
Okay, so there you go.
Dang.
Wow.
So like, he was getting it done. There's many years where he had, like, so 77 was the first year he acted. Then he had 3 in 79, 4 in 81.
How old is he? Like, how has he been?
He might have been a kid.
Was he a child actor?
Could have been. Let me see here. Does it say how
Little
old he
child
is?
Hans Landa.
He was born in 1956. So he is, what, 66? So he was, so 77, so he would have been 21.
Dang.
His first acting role.
I forgot he was in the French Dispatch, but he was only in it for like 2 seconds, like literally. He must just like doing bit roles now. I mean, he was also in Muppets Most Wanted, I believe. I don't know if I have that right, but I believe he was in Muppets Most Wanted.
Let's see here.
Just like a real
any idea about what year that was?
2014.
2014. he was in Muppets Most Wanted.
Yeah, I thought so.
Horrible Bosses 2.
Right, he was one of the horrible bosses.
He was also in Clash of Clans, a very special map official TV commercial.
Does that count as a movie? Is that like
that counts as an acting credit, apparently?
What do we compare that then to Sean Connery because he was in a commercial? Then he's been in more.
But the official TV commercial.
Fine, it's a film. Okay, it works.
Well, what is it? Wasn't Ridley Scott directing like commercials for a long time?
I mean, probably. I know like a lot. Like Spike Jonze did commercials and like skate videos. So I wonder, is that all considered part of his filmography? Also?
I imagine it probably is.
I mean,
they'll do anything to pad their resume.
As long as it's on Letterboxd. I use Letterboxd now, and if it's on there, then it's a movie, so it counts, I guess.
All right,
but
fair enough.
The commercials aren't on there though. Do they do a good job of like archiving commercials?
They do a terrible job. One Spot is probably the only place you can find like a decent collection of, like, I have to use it for work sometimes. We only have a free account, so it's like 80% of the stuff was locked.
What'd you say?
One Spot.
Oh, that's okay. So it's like a
that's like an aggregator. So like what they're trying to do is get you to buy a premium account so you can look at the analytics for how these ads perform.
Well, yeah, so that's for current commercials.
That's far. I think the furthest back one I found is only like 2013.
Okay, because I was thinking about this the other day, like, well, they got like old commercials you can get on like VHS tapes, and you can upload them to YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I just watched a half hour of 90s commercials literally last night.
like on YouTube or like on a
YouTube,
tape.
on
Okay,
YouTube.
because like, well, that's kind of the fun of recording movies now on TV. If you caught them back in the day, you can get all those commercials, and it's kind of cool to reflect and look back. But they don't. Do they actually have a way of, unless someone recorded it at the time and then uploaded it to YouTube, will anybody even archive that? I assume that the people who made the commercial have their own archive, but I'm not even sure.
Well, so the interesting thing with that, this is kind of interesting because I work in this industry. We only archive stuff for like 3 years.
And then it's done.
And then it's gone.
Oh, really? Even with digital?
Yeah, even with it's because like some just random individual spots might slip through the cracks, but usually the way that we do the file management for this stuff, it's like the entire project for something that's like a 30-second commercial can be like 80 gigs.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like we just end up nuking the whole thing to free up space. It's like they haven't run this ad in forever. It's gone. If they want another one, whatever.
Well, like, okay, so all the project files to make the commercial, but at least have the final file itself.
Yeah, we have some of that, but it's very unreliable.
That
if we
sucks.
have it, or we don't.
Because I mean, it's weird. That's a whole form of media that I feel like is, I guess
it's very disposable.
It's commercials,
for sure.
I guess. I mean, whatever. But like,
yeah,
it's
no,
really,
like that. There's no Library of Congress going around saving all of these or anything.
Yeah, but like some of these commercials nowadays are considered like classics, like the have a Coke and a smile.
Yeah,
which if you ever see it, it looks like
it's always a VHS recording,
right? It's like, oh, someone, you know, from some beta copy that's out there or something. That's the highest version, highest quality version is probably a Betamax tape, if anybody was recording on Betamax back then. Which
all 9 people who own beta tapes.
Yeah, so it's like more than likely it's on the VHS tape and it's worse quality. And
the sad thing is, like, VHS had the capability of recording in high quality. Just everyone always defaulted to, I want 19 hours of tape. Not 4 hours of tape.
Yo, wait, I can put 6 hours of video on here? It's like, yeah, but if you record for just 4 hours, you can get, no, man, 6 hours, even 8 hours, let's boost that up. And then it's just like, and then just awful. And then it's like, oh, man, I don't really care about recording The Lion King on TV anymore. Now I want to record the newest movie, Geppetto with Drew Carey. Yeah, I don't know. There you go. So I want to record that, and then does the same 8 hours. Like, but first I'm going to record like the first like 6 hours of the day, and then he over records on the tape, and then it's just even worse. And like, just what is that called? VHS. There's a term for it. It's like regeneration or something like that. Generation loss. That's what it is. So then someone records the Have a Coke and a Smile commercial.
On a 40-use tape.
Yeah. And then it comes out and it's like, and it's just like already cutting off the commercial to like some random TV
you get that
program.
like weird split frame thing where it's like coming in at the very end of some Power Rangers episode you'd recorded.
Right. It's like here's David Letterman, and I'm like, this is like 3-4 years later. All right, hi. I kind of miss that. I kind of miss the random. I was on the very tail end of that, but I do miss the whole process and planning of like, okay, gotta start recording now. It's on TV. Record it now. Don't change the channel, because it took many years to figure out how to like time it and to record it for a channel where you could still change the channel, because you could like hook up the antennas through the VHS player, but most of the time you could pop it in and you could just record whatever was on the screen. But if you had a separate antenna, you could have the channel set on the VHS player, record it, and still be able to watch something else on the TV. And that took years of and by the time I figured it out, like Blu-ray.
Well, then you got to afford 2 antennas.
Right. That's another thing. Well,
nobody owns 2 TVs.
I mean, like 2 like cords anyway. But there was a way to do it too, where you could do it through the VHS player if you hooked it up and then had the other antenna go to the TV. There was still a way to change.
I feel I remember my parents doing that. Like there'd be 2 movies on at the same time. They'd record one and we'd watch the other. Yeah.
Is that like that's possible, right?
It absolutely is.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We're solidly in my world now where I know all these things.
Well, I have right now, I have a box of Betamax tapes that I got from my aunt, and her father had them. Just would record everything on beta back in the day. And I sent my Betamax player to a guy in Duluth to fix it, and spent 2 years. Just still isn't finished. It happened around the pandemic, so it sounded like parts were like already for Betamax players are pretty impossible to get. The pandemic just made it worse, because a lot of he was like, a lot of these places that I used to get parts from like closed down for the pandemic, and they are done. They're not open anymore. And so like getting parts was pretty tough. I could probably just buy a Betamax player, but they're pretty pricey, and I got one for free. So I was like, maybe I should just spend the, I don't know, $50 to try to fix it. Who knows if it'll cost that much. But anyway, I really want to go through all those tapes and see if it's TV that was recorded. But I feel like more than likely, it's going to be VHSs that were rented and then recorded on the Betamax. Yeah.
That was like every weekend in my house. We go to the movie store and rent some movies, and then we had the double deck hookup where it's like you'd play it and watch it and then record it at the same time.
Right. Well, because so you couldn't do that VHS to VHS, right?
You could, yeah.
Okay, it was.
Oh, at least in my era, you could.
Okay. Oh well, I mean, like, yeah, because I actually did try that at one point with a VHS player to a VHS player, and it would lock it out. It would like cause a blue screen to show up. But we had a, like, I guess, newer Panasonic one. So
oh yeah, like the very first like attempt at something like HDCP, kind of. It's like, oh, you can't have this go into this.
yeah, they would lock it out.
Yeah, the literal whole setup was like we had the VCR set up as though it were going to a TV, and then it just ran into the VCR, and then the second VCR just went out to the TV. So it's like it would play, it would record, and then we were watching what the recording was recording, basically.
Well, I knew like that issue with Betamax never happened though. Like every VHS player, you could hook up to the Betamax, and there was no locking it out. And well, I don't know. I just remember going through a lot of this only because we had one of those DVD VHS combos, and we were going to put everything we own on VHS on a DVD. That was the big plan. And then we found out, no, you cannot just buy one of these combo players and take a commercial VHS and put it on a DVD. You cannot do that. And looking back now, I'm like, that would have been really stupid anyway. Because imagine the quality putting it on a DVD. It's pretty dumb, but we tried doing it, and we tried so many different ways to like trick it, because we thought for a while there's like a little clip on the VHS on the front of it. And the clip is there if you buy it for like recording TV stuff, or if you have one of those really old video cameras and you put the whole tape in. It's got like a little clip in the front that if you rip it off, you can't over record on the tape ever again. Yeah,
I think Cam was just saying something about the only time he had issues. Oh no, the IMDb game stuff is still playing.
Oh, and there's like music?
7. Yeah, there's theme music. Oh. I think that's off now. Yeah, it looks like it's off. Okay, sorry. We're just most of this is it's a licensed song, so we're not worried about it or anything. But just having this whole conversation. So Cam was saying it's like, yeah, the only time I ever had issues is with this if the security tab on the VHS tape had been broken off. So
yeah, I think so that like tells the system that the tape is a commercial tape, but we tried to do it a backwards way where we ripped one off of a different tape for recording purposes, and we tried to tape it on to a different commercial tape to try to trick the system, and that didn't work either.
Interesting.
So, but I mean, the combo player was from like, I think we bought it in like 2004 or 5, something like that. So it's not, they probably had a pretty good system down already to lock that stuff out. They probably had something on the manual or on the box that said, no, you can't just take The Lion King and put it on DVD. This will not allow that. But, which, I mean, it's funny now. It's like, hey, I got this thing that I can hook up to my computer, and bam, I can do it now.
Yep.
I can now put VHSs on DVD, I guess.
We have the technology. It took 15 years, but we got there.
I can finally do it. Wait, what's this streaming you're talking about? What's that?
Oh my goodness. And then like, it's not like DVD quality was even that, like compared to VHS, definitely better, but DVD quality is still like,
yeah.
There should be a filter on Disney Plus and streaming services where you can put like 4:3 VHS, like a filter over the top
to
make it look like you're watching a VHS.
Man, I have a distinct memory of like, because my parents, my mom specifically, super early adopter of technology. Like we had a home PC, and like I was born in '87, so like I remember at like 4 years old, like we had like a really nice home computer. I remember running DOS, learning the command prompts, do all the stuff. Then when it switched to like a graphical user interface, anyways, so like when DVDs became a thing, we're like, we're getting a DVD player, right? And then you watch a DVD and you're like, wow, this looks awesome. But then when you go back to watch a VHS tape, you're like, ugh.
Right.
You're like, wow, this is what we were. How could we tolerate watching this?
Right.
It's all we knew.
I mean, it's weird. Well, and I don't feel like we get that anymore because now they've reached the point where it's just so good that, like, I don't know, like even like their next big thing, they're like 4K and 8K. I don't know if this is probably another internet lie, but I thought the human eye literally can't even see that much clarity at this point.
So from what I've heard, anything beyond 8K is completely indecipherable. And the interesting thing is, like a piece of celluloid film, a 35 millimeter film, has about 8K worth of information in it. So even with like the best film stock that was being made, it's like you were already hitting like the total upper limit. And that's for like the people that are like pixel peeping, trying to see the difference type of thing. It's almost impossible to see the difference between like 4 and 8K, but then 8 to 16 or 8 to anything else, it's like so imperceptibly non-existent of a difference that like the reason why I think this is interesting is like, so like we get like bigger and bigger sensors on cameras and stuff, like all of our cameras shooting 4K. You know, so it's like, it's nice because you can downsample it to 1080 because most stuff is still 1080 based. And most stuff on your phone is still 720. But like we'll hit a point where it's like, okay, if you get a 16K camera, you never would need to get a 32K camera or anything. And you'll just always probably be downsampling it to 8K because there's no reason to have anything higher than that for your output because no one's going to be able to tell. So it's like, whereas camera technology is going to evolve, it's going to probably be like, you know, better dynamic range or better like capability in like low light specifically or higher frame rates or whatever. It's like, we're going to hit that ceiling where it's like, it just doesn't matter how much better your sensor is in terms of like pixel representation. It's going to have to come down to some other technological advancement. So like, we're already like on the edge of like the event horizon of like cameras not possibly being able to get very much better.
You can actually keep this camera for more than 2 years now.
Yeah,
congrats.
exactly.
Well, I mean, like it probably makes sense to keep upping it past like 8K, I guess, because I guess higher quality technically is better, but there's just that, like I was even thinking for like film restorations, because I get like Criterion discs and they're like, and then there's the Kino discs, and then they'll be like, hey, this is a 2K scan that was done recently for this film, but then Criterion does their own release. They're like, well, we did a 4K scan, which I guess in general that's like, hey, that's probably good that you keep upping it up, you know, like rescanning it, higher quality, but for the human eye, it's not going to matter at this point. Like, it's going to probably pretty much look the same, except I guess your next scan you'll get luckier with not having so much dirt on the cells, the original film cells anyway. I guess that's all you can do at this point.
Well, that's kind of an interesting thing, like just sort of wrapping this back around to like videotape. I believe in the, and I could be totally wrong, but I thought I had seen or heard or read something that in the process of like getting ready to do the special editions of Star Wars, during the transfer process, because they had to basically reprint the movie to be able to do what they were doing to it. That videotape was part of the process. Like they broke it out and then they used videotape as like the intermediary part between the original film print and the new film print. And for some reason, like videotape was like the best possible option to use in between these two stages of doing the new masters for it, to be able to then move it on to be able to be composited and do all the stuff. So
that might be true because, but because they had computers to do it at that point. And but as far as like how they got it on the computer, I'm not sure how they did that yet, because only in the 90s, George Lucas developed that software that is now just nonlinear video editing, which is, he had this setup with computers and he had laser discs booted onto the system to do nonlinear editing via scenes from a laser disc.
Interesting.
The reason it's cool is because this laser disc, they found the laser disc that was used for like the demo, and it was actually scenes from Return of the Jedi, but it was actually unreleased footage that people had never seen. So this unreleased footage made it online because someone found the disc, they were able to upload it. And it was called Edit Droid, and it was never commercially sold. It was never used. It was just built, but it was the first non-linear software ever made. And it was before Avid. It was before all those other things. So it makes me wonder, because there does exist HD VHS tapes.
Yes.
They exist. So I'm wondering, was it that?
It probably, I would imagine it would be.
Because it's weird that he didn't use, I guess Laserdisc wouldn't have been as, I don't know what was higher quality, Laserdisc or HD VHS. I'm assuming HD VHS, just because HD's in the name, and maybe that's the way they did it. Your story, that's what I mean, like that might be true. I just had heard that, like basically he had said, or a Lucasfilm person said, that when they did the transfer, they said that the original film was in such bad quality that they transferred it to the computer. They did the special edition edits to it, and then that's the only version of the film that exists. And everyone read the statement and they're like, that doesn't make any sense because he scanned the very bad quality film and got it on a computer. So that version does exist unless you like, I don't know, how do you do that on a computer where you edit something and then you save it, but you save it as like the original file rather than name it something new?
Yeah, you
so
overwrite
unless Lucasfilm did that, no, that explanation never made any sense.
Yeah,
but,
no, I agree completely. Yeah, I can't find, so like I find comparison of Laserdisc to traditional VHS, but nothing with HD VHS.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so like the biggest difference is, so the vertical line resolution for VHS is 240, which is the same as a TV. And you got 425 vertical line resolution with Laserdisc.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so for comparison, like in 1080, you have 1080 vertical lines. So, or 4K, you have, what is it, 2160.
So with Laserdisc, most people couldn't even really see the full quality on their TV.
Yeah, because you're watching it on a TV, they can only represent the half quality anyway.
Have you watched a Laserdisc in recent years?
In not recent years.
Like
I was in high school the last time I saw Laserdisc.
Okay. I've ran a Laserdisc player on an HD like TV, and it pretty much just looks like a perfect VHS tape with no
tracking or static or anything.
It just seems like it's very smooth. It's not like DVD either. Like it's very hard to explain it. It looks like a VHS tape, but it's so smooth. It's almost like it's like pleasant to watch in a way. I'm like, this is just. It's like you could tell this is not the best quality, but it's so smooth. It's like it's perfect low quality. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like in the tiers of high, medium, and low quality. It's the top of low quality.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I don't know. I mean, if you try to boot up a CED, like on a CED player, that looks like a VHS tape. And that's weird. My band teacher had one of those, and we booted it up one time, and it's all just like, yeah, you had to set the tracking on it, but I don't even know if that was how on earth you would do that on a player. And it was like watching a VHS, and I was like, I thought this was a disc. Like, why is it so like? And then you like pop it open, the case that it was inside, and it looks like a record player, it looked like a record,
album,
like a vinyl. It was weird. So I don't know why that technology even existed. It was so bad.
Apparently, it was the Wild West for media formats.
It was. Yeah, they had everything. They made every kind of format at that point.
Well, yeah, and then going the opposite direction in between DVDs. Well, there's DVD, HD DVD, and then Blu-ray was the same competitor with HD DVD. Mm-hmm. But in between that generation, we had the mini discs. I don't know if you ever got a mini disc anything.
I have one. Just one of Harry Potter. Mini DVDs. Which are I found it at a store. I bought it because I was like, well, here's something I don't own. And yeah, 3 little mini DVDs of Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone. Just the movie. No special features.
Yep.
I'm like, what? Why? Why was this done? What would the necessity be for a mini DVD?
Yeah, it takes up so much less space. And I don't think that nobody in any of these formats was anticipating streaming.
No. Mm-hmm. Well, I think they were also just, I especially with mini DVD, I think I have said this in videos too, because I'll show it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they just wanted to make some quick cash and they knew people would buy this. There was a thing where if you bought it in a store for renting, you would keep the disc. You would rip open the packaging and you would have only 24 hours to watch the DVD because of the technology on the disc. Once it hits air or oxygen or whatever, the technology that was developed, the disc would deteriorate by the time in the 24 hours, the actual side that the laser reads. I don't know how they built it, but they went that far to figure out a system for renting. Yeah, I don't know. And I've seen
crazy.
These, I didn't even think that would exist, but someone thought, oh, we should do that to rent out
So
discs.
let's say you set it to watch knowing it'll end exactly at that 24-hour mark. will the quality just kind of keep on getting crappier?
Yeah, it's just like getting worse and worse as you're watching it.
Well, that's what I wondered. I'm like, so technically you only have like, if it's like a 2-hour movie, you probably only actually have 22 hours to watch it because if you tried to watch it at the 23rd hour and it was a 2-hour movie, like halfway through, does it start?
Just
yeah.
Just,
No, I'll never be able to see the end of Beverly Hills Cop. Does he get them or not?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I've thought about buying one and just ripping it open and seeing if it works. But now it's been like 15 years. I bet they all don't even work. I mean, I mean, maybe if it still works and it stops working after 24 hours, that is amazing technology. But how do we implement that into anything else rather than for rental purposes?
Yeah, who want it's like the opposite of like an NFT almost, where it's like that's like a forever thing. This is the most disposable thing you could ever have.
Well, right, and then it's like, well, then it's just like an environmental problem because it's like, oh, it's just garbage now.
Yeah.
So just throw it away.
Throw it in the Pacific Ocean when you're done.
Right? Yeah. Is there a rise of the podcast NFT now?
No, I honestly I know like 0.51 trillionth of a percent of what an NFT is, other than it's supposed to be some sort of blockchain forever possession of some sort of digital media. We should auction off NFTs of all the episodes and see what people do with them.
Ooh, mint episode 1 and then auction it
oh
off.
man, nobody wants to. Episode 1's not even up, is it?
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the very first thing. So we recorded "Welcome to Rise of the Podcast," and that I believe is not up. That's private. But the first episode is definitely still there, and we showed some clips of it on episode 100, which is almost a year ago now.
It's so cringy
Well, you did like a test run episode, right?
that we started a podcast.
Yeah, and that's literally just like talking. It's almost like an extended like 4-minute like example of what we were going to talk about. Essentially, it's like I think at some point we kind of explained a little bit of like what we thought a podcast was, sort of.
Well, you just talk and you talk about.
I have to look it up.
It's just so bad. Are you gonna show it?
I might if I can find it here.
Oh,
I won't play it with audio. I don't think I will anyway. This thing's being very slow.
it's just it. Yeah,
Content.
those first. I don't know when we finally got into a groove, but it took us a while, and it was real bad.
Okay, here we go. Rise of the Podcast number 1.
Painful.
217 views. That's like one of our highest performing podcasts
Yeah,
ever.
that's how bad it was. People were showing it to their friends like, oh my gosh, do you see how bad this is, guys?
No, it's because you start with the first episode and you go from there.
Yeah, and
exactly.
maybe that's why we don't have any more subs.
Well, I don't know, like, because it's bad to start with the first episode. You ever hear where they're like, no, you got to get through the first few episodes,
you gotta get
and
through
it gets good.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always good to start with a podcast. Like, just start with the most recent episode.
Wait, are you actually showing it?
Here it is.
Is there audio? Oh my gosh.
I don't think there's audio. Look how natural you guys look.
I mean, there's no
Look how
audio, but
short my hair is.
See, look there's already.
Yeah, Jeremy, you made it to the podcast. Good job, buddy.
There's already like more cutting. There's cutting, and there's like that. I like that background too. I
did that.
I remember you said like, didn't it start falling over? And
Yeah, so
Yep.
we took that one down, painted the wall, and then put it back up. Then the pandemic hit, and then it all fell off because it got really cold, and we were never in there turning the heat on to record. So it just got really cold, and the tape failed, and it all fell down. We recorded like 2 things with that new background, and then it fell off.
Yep. That was hours of work, and it was so sad.
Yeah, this is good. I think I kind of miss the old where you're like closer in the frame. I don't know.
Well, when we don't have guests on and they're both on the chair, they both kind of share like this angle.
Okay.
So it's a little bit wider, but also we got new pop filters, as you can see. The exact same mics, but new pop filters, because I was like blocking too much of their face sometimes.
I'm surprised that's something you're complaining about, Chris.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Jeremy, I think we should get like one of these pop filters.
Do you remember when I used to do and this picture over Jeremy's face?
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So both of you guys look like you're like hoping that you're gonna make sense. Jeremy says, "I can't wait to be back."
We can't wait for you to be back either.
Oh, it was more of
Oh yeah, Cam said it was more of a there's actually a Star Wars podcast. I need to watch it all kind of thing. Brad said extreme close-ups with sticks up their butts.
Wow. We practically scripted this, if I recall.
Yeah, like this is like we didn't have the whiteboard up or anything at the point, but it's like you guys definitely had like these are the things we're going to talk about, and just kind of talked about them in order, and then it's like, well, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, I think we had actually a notebook sitting on the table, didn't we?
You might be right.
We started with a notebook, and I was like, "This is super." Yeah, did you see me just look down?
Yep.
I looked down for a split second just to see what we were talking about. And then I was like, no, I can't keep looking down. This is stupid. So I bought a whiteboard. So now instead we just look past the camera.
Yep. And like, I don't know how natural it is for you guys to just stab the lens now and like look into it. But like this, like you guys, like I could, like Jeremy's like intending. He's like, I must look at the camera.
I know Jeremy's like, camera, hello.
Whatever that was.
that's so natural. What are you talking about? I don't know. It's weird looking back at stuff like this.
Yeah, Brad's like, oh, they're watching each other's lips over and over. Like, they're like waiting to see when you're going to be done talking. You're like, is it my turn to talk?
You used to like script like what you were going to discuss on the episode.
Yeah, it was basically like the bullet points. Like now it's like, what are we talking about? Like, I did not. So Jeremy is supposed to come up with like the subject for the week. And it's like a 50-50 toss up whether or not he does or I does or nobody does. So there's a lot of times like 2 minutes before the podcast, like, what are we talking about? It's like,
it's truly, like today, did we really have any topics to talk about today?
No.
Well, I was preparing in my head. Okay, so like I was preparing for Keith, and I was like, oh yeah, so director, movie guy, me and him, we'll talk like, you know.
And then there's Kara.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, so I don't know what we're going to talk about, but let's do it. So I don't know.
We talked about half of what we could have talked about in the podcast before the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
Oh, we talked about all the good Star Wars stuff already.
All the good Star Wars stuff, Halo stuff.
So you used to script it, and you would have like topics or whatever, but do you still do I know the last time I was here, like right away, I was like, let's do 5, whatever it was called, the Star Wars leaks or the Star Wars.
Oh,
5.
yeah.
3 of the Star Wars leaks.
Where is it? I still have the graphic for it.
Oh, yeah. Do you still do that ever?
So we do it occasionally. So what the idea was is like, if we're going to brand ourselves as a Star Wars podcast, we need to have some kind of Star Wars content.
Yeah.
So it's like, we might as well just do Star Wars leaks. I think if I just type in reddit.com. Oh, it does not shortcut me to just straight to Star Wars leaks anymore.
You haven't been there enough.
It doesn't. It's
like, here's the thing. I feel like all the leaks are kind of, they're all like comic books and stuff like that. And I don't read the comic books.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of.
So you're saying the niche market within Star Wars, the Star Wars podcast will not delve into the need.
Well, so I mean, like
makes sense, so it's
Rebel Base podcast does it. There's a whole there's probably a dozen just like we're just doing the news of the week of Star Wars podcasts.
Right.
And we're like we're gonna expand and be like pop culture, nerd culture / apparently when nobody that knows anything about sports is on, we'll talk about sports for 25 minutes podcast.
Yeah.
Well, like before I was on it, I thought it was straight up just Star Wars. That's why I came here, because I was like, I got a topic of Star Wars, and that's why I brought all those like VHS tapes.
That was awesome. That's one of my favorite episodes.
I had a good time, but like looking back, I was like, none of the other episodes do they ever really just do Star Wars. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, I think I missed the point, but it was a good time. But
no, it was great.
Well, you know, it's kind of like I think like the second episode we're talking about Minecraft Earth. That was the whole thing. We were talking about Minecraft Earth and how excited we were for it to come out, and that's so far gone.
I think I played like twice, and it was stupid.
Actually, so we can't really see it on here. I can show you guys. So we were talking about Galaxy's Edge on the first episode. This is the whole thing. We were talking about Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, May 13th, 2019. Jeez. So like, the park had been open already.
No, it had not.
No, it hadn't. Okay.
Because we went in July. And it opened. I guess I could listen to the podcast. I think it opened at the end of May or beginning of June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it had only been open for like a couple of months when we went there.
So we probably have to wrap up pretty quick here.
No, never. Okay, we're going to overtime. I know Kara has to leave. Brad does say It takes balls to put yourself out there. You guys have come a long way. I think everybody's come a long way.
Brad.
You know, I don't remember what episode it was. I didn't even have a mic back then. I was literally just sitting in the corner.
Annie commented. She was like, "You can hear Chris laughing in the background, and I think it's hilarious." So that's when we finally gave Chris a mic.
Yep, and that was probably like episode 4 or 5 or something. So,
and I think it's come a long way. I think that's probably around the time when Jeremy and I maybe started relaxing, because it wasn't such a 2-person conversation. It was just kind of like we're all just chatting.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I still had our topics, but
yeah, it would be weird though, I guess, if someone's just like there, like filming you, and it almost feels like it's meant to be scripted, like I don't know, like a news show in a way, where it's like, nah, a podcast is just talk about whatever, you know? Like,
exactly.
I don't even know what we talked about in the last hour or two. How long has it been?
Like 95 minutes now.
Yeah, my child's probably outside.
Whatever. He can wait. He's got his whole life ahead of him. He can wait 5 minutes. Anyway, oh yeah, so I do want to say, Jeremy did say, should Kara come to see me with or without Chip? And it seems like so far the consensus is without Chip. And then Brad says blame Chip.
Here's the thing. If it's a no Chip kind of thing, it's a no Kara kind of thing.
You can just leave him at the firehouse with a note saying, we'll be back for it.
He'll be back.
Boy.
You be like, I do love him, but I need to get away for a weekend. Please just take care of him.
I don't have anybody to watch him.
Annie could probably who could watch him? Where are your folks going?
They're going to my brother and sister-in-laws.
They can take him with. Vacation for Chip, vacation for Jeremy and Kara. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
You guys spend all day together.
I can't leave him. I can't leave him.
Looks like the baby's going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, baby.
You got to put your chips down when you go to Vegas.
All right, that was horrible. Let's get out of here.
All right, yeah. Jeremy is also voting for without Chip for what it's worth.
Apparently you don't love our son.
He doesn't. I know. He's told me.
Jerk. All right.
Yeah, he says he said you should take him on. He should go on vacation with your parents. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us live and joining in the discussion. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching us there. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Also, comment down below with if Jeremy should have Kara visit with or without Chip. I think that we should carry that conversation on in the comments down there. If you are watching on YouTube, though, why not check us out live on twitch.tv/Rise of the Podcast every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central. Someday Jeremy will be back, but you don't need to watch when he's here. If you're listening to us on the audio-only version, we appreciate that you like taking us with you wherever you go in the most convenient form possible, but why not check us out on YouTube or on Twitch and see what we look like in person? We promise we're friendly and not horribly monstrous until Jeremy gets back. And with all of that said, thank you guys all so much for watching.
And may the force be with you.